everybody, I'm Michelle with Birdie Bloom, and today's video is going to be dedicated to giving you the tips that I use to seek out vintage Coach leather that is either not used or barely used. And why I seek it out is it is my preferred leather feel. I'm gonna go a little bit more into that. I can tell you right now, most bags are gonna have patina, and then therefore more of a shine, from skin oils, from dirt, all of that adds to the patina of the vintage Coach leather that you hear about what that patina is, and we're gonna show you examples. But you can find vintage Coach that is like new, or has that like new feel. I'm gonna show you an example of a bag that has that like new feel, but it's not in really great condition, and I'm going to explain why. But I do have some tips, because yeah, you can buy these for pricey, for a good amount. For example, in my closet, you can buy bags that are like new and not have to search much by just searching those type terms, and buying from reputable resellers such as myself, but you are going to spend more money. I obviously get these bags at a discounted price to resell, and that's because I feel like I've developed an eye for them, and so you can too. You just have to practice. Practice that looking, right? So I'm gonna give you my tips. This is an example of a bag that was barely used, if at all, and it's hard to kind of tell on screen. A lot of this comes with feeling these bags, but there is a look that I look for, and the leather for a barely used bag is just gonna have more of a matte look to it. That's the first thing. It also has more of a matte feel to it. It's soft, luxurious, but there's more of a matte feel. It's not so like glossy feeling. It's gonna be hard for me to explain it. I don't wanna rub on this bag too much because patina does come from skin oils. I made sure my hands were really clean. I have no lotion on. These are things that I consider when I'm handling a barely used vintage Coach bag, because I want it to maintain that feel for the next owner. So, so this, as you can see, I mean, there's a shine to it. It's more of a sheen in my opinion, but this is a different color, but I'm gonna also not really rehabbed at all. But this is a bag that has patina to it. It's also a different age. I'll show you one that's kind of closer to this. So it's a different leather. This is that chewy New York City leather. But do you see like how shiny that is in comparison? There's a lot more skin oils on this bag. That's what we kind of can talk about when we say patina, which adds to a bag, adds to the character. There's nothing wrong with patina. And again, most people prefer a little shinier of a bag. This is another bag that was handled much more. Do you see how much more shinier it is? This bag is from 1997. It's a turkey bag. This bag is Costa Rica 1998. So, and the leather in itself feels very similar. I don't know for sure if this is British tan. This is a Windy, and I can't, I don't believe anyone's found them in a catalog. They may have never made their way into a catalog, though they're pretty popular. They were a popular bag, I guess, and so they are pretty easy to find on the resale market, but no catalog photo exists for them. So I don't know if they had the same colors. They don't feel like a lightweight leather, so I'm just not positive what color this is. It does look a little darker than this one, but it's British tan can vary, so I'm assuming it's a British tan. Do you see how much shinier that is? This just has less of a sheen, less glossy, right? Do I have another? Okay, well, I didn't really get too many examples for that, but yeah, so that's one thing I look at. Also, for a bag that has been barely used, I would say you can see those stretch marks in the leather. You're not always gonna see that. This is a feature that is just because this is part of the leather hide that was used, right? And it does seem like Coach may have tried sometimes to hide them, even though I'll see it on a duffel sack and I think it's gorgeous. but like these are just stretch marks from the cow. So they took the dye a little bit differently. There's nothing wrong with this bag. In fact, I prefer looking at it like this. But over time, sometimes you'll see it, you don't in this case, but sometimes you'll see it on the back of the bag. I've had a pocket purse that had it on the back. It was just, oh, actually it was in the front flap. It was beautiful. But over time, your skin oils and lotions and dirt, it's going to make those markings, which some people find unique, it's gonna make them blend in. So seeing those is actually a good sign that your bag was less handled, the bag you're looking at. That's another tip. Another tip is looking at the hardware. Now, brass patinas, no matter what you do to it, you can clean it and it's gonna start patinaing right away. However, mid-90s, Coach started putting like a clear shellac coating over the hardware, which prevents the brass from patinaing. However, with use, and it was very easy to like chip and scratch, that shellac coating would get scratched and chipped. And therefore it can actually look really bad depending on how much it was used and the weather that maybe the bag was, or the temperatures that the bag was stored in. But you can see that in scratch marks. So if your bag, your hardware, and it hasn't been cleaned, you know, because that shellac coating can be removed and cleaned, but if the hardware is just really, really shiny and not like, I mean, just simple little scratches all over, you might, even on a partially or hardly used bag, you might see it around the edges, but that's another good sign. Mid-90s and on, if that shellac coating still looks intact for most of the hardware, rear hardware, that's a really good indication that your bag was not handled that much. And so it might have still that soft matte feel. That's my other tip. Another tip, I'm gonna have to go inside the bag for this and get the strap. Pocket purses have straps. This is another tip. And I want you to look at the edge of the strap. So I don't know why people believe that Coach, okay. Newer bags have this like edge coat that's kind of bubbly. It's really thick. It can like chip off. Yeah, that's definitely an edge coat. And I much prefer edge coating done earlier on. And then even this era, if you look, there is an edge coat all along the strap of this bag. This is raw leather. This is not leather that you would condition or anything. I don't know what they used for an edge coat. It's a very flat and it blends in really well. Depending on the color, the edge coat can be actually quite contrasting to the actual color of the leather. I see it on Tabak actually. The edge coat that they would use is much darker. I'm just calling it an edge coat because that's essentially what it is. Edge coat is the name of a product and that is not what I'm saying this is. But if you look, it is really intact. Where you're gonna find, and I advise you to look at your bags, to look at your edge coat. Look at where maybe it's starting to wear away because it will with use. Where you'll find the most wear is around the hardware pieces. You'll also find it on tabs. Like it's done along this part of these little side tabs and you'll see that wear away. It's also in very small amounts along the seams of these leathers, but that's a little less noticeable. But if you look at your bag, you'll notice there is a coat of there. That is, again, that's not finished leather. That is raw leather. There is something on it. So you'll see it if you have pieces that kind of flip up, you'll see it better there, but all of this has a little bit of a coating on it. Again, it's on the raw leather. This is not part of the leather that gets conditioned. You know, you don't want to condition the raw part of your leather. I don't advise that at all. It doesn't really do anything for it. So yeah, I'm trying to show you some other tips there, but, oh, well, I'll show you here on this tab. This is gonna be an example of a bag that has that barely used feel, but has some problems. But this type of tab, which you can see a lot in briefcases, do you see that edge coat? That is there. That will wear off for a bag that's heavily used. Any front tabs with hardware, they tend to wear down. So yeah, I think I do have, oh, I have an example here. Oh, Oh, this bag is so soft. It has been used though. This is not a new leather feel bag. It's still has a really great feel though. The patina, it's pretty clean, more from oils, but wanted to show you, sorry, I gotta find part of the strap that really hasn't been worn away, and show you in comparison. It's not like that evident. I think some colors are worse than others. Let's see, can you see that? Do you see right where my thumb is? That's part of the strap that has that edge coat intact, and this is where it's kind of worn away, and that raw leather shines through a little bit more. It's a little less clean, a little more fluffy there. I do have a video, and I've gotten crap for it, but I still stand by it, of how I fix, because maybe like, for example, this bag, it's not super noticeable, the color, so I actually wouldn't do anything to it. It's not something I do often, but sometimes that fraying where the edge coat has worn off really bothers me personally, and it is something that I fix on my own personal bags. And I have a technique for that, so you can search in my videos for that. But that is a solution for me. I can also show you, so this would have had that edge coat, and you see with use, it kind of just wears away. Let me see, again, people don't believe it, but like, for example, this part of the bag still has it. Sorry, it's really hard to show you. No, I'm not looking at underneath, I'm looking at the edge here. Do you see how it's fraying up here? But then this part of the edge, it's still coated. And I believe they did that. They didn't do it once the bag was on. They did it before the leather was, right after the leather was cut probably. Again, this is, that might just be that it's flipped up a little bit, but, oh, excuse me. So, it's so hard to show you. But anyways, that's what I mean by edge coating. And then when you get into the early 2000s, still a vintage bag, right? I'm just mentioning this because it was posted in my group one time that somebody thought that somebody painted their straps, edge of their straps, because it started getting this cracked look to it. Whatever Coach started using early 2000s, I would say, even in a bag that was barely used, you can see cracking in that edge coating, and it's not quite the bubbly edge coating that you see nowadays, but it's a little thicker and more prominent than it is on bags from like this era, and it does start to crack. So, and that bag could have been not handled much. So whatever they used just really wasn't, I guess, the best product. So yeah, that's my tip for there. Look at your straps, your edges, and everywhere. And if it's a smooth, beautiful finish, as you see here, another indication, either the strap wasn't used much, because this is a removable strap, right? Or, you know, just in general, your bag wasn't used much, if at all. So another tip is finding things like inspection tags and little bags of the such that contain paperwork and other types of paperwork. Those are really good indications that the bag wasn't used much. That's not always 100% the case. I combine all of these little tips when searching for such, but most of the time people remove those things, or they get removed at some point. And when you find them, that's a good indication that there wasn't much use. For example, in this bag, I do have an inspection tag, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like. And it has this inspection number. Sorry, I have it upside down. It says inspected by, in this case, number 67. That was probably assigned to a particular person. So just finding these, you'll usually find them in the pockets somewhere. So that's a good indication that your bag might be new vintage Coach or barely used, not used much vintage Coach, and will have that matte vintage Coach feel. And then also just like a very clean interior. That's a really good indication, because sometimes bags can look really new if they've been painted or something else has been applied in pictures. And so I always also suggest if it looks really good on the outside and really like new on the outside, it should also look the same on the inside. That doesn't mean like sometimes just a single use, somebody could have gotten a pen mark on it. I'm not saying no marks at all, but for the most part, it should look really clean on the inside. That's another tip. And then I wanted to show you this bag. This is an example, and I'll talk about it eventually what it is. That's not what the purpose of this video is. Oh, look at the stretch marks. You can see it on both sides. Love it. Again, that came from the cowhide. But as you can see, this bag has problems. There's indents in it. It was not stored properly at all. It does have a very new feel to it, and the hardware is in really good condition. This is the bag that I got an inspected tag from. I don't think any other paperwork came from this, but it's really clean on the inside. I'm gonna show you another problem with this bag. But I suspected when looking and when seeing this bag and seeing the issues with it, one, it's it's more of a rare bag. I don't think I've had one of these before, so I definitely wanted to get it, and I figured I could fix it at the same time maintaining some of the things I like about new feeling bags. But here I'm gonna show you, again, this bag might not have been used much, but it either was stored improperly or with the very few uses it got this water stain, which actually extends to the piping area. And in addition, you might see this, and again, just from storage, some scuff marks along the edges. So I can't say for sure, but it does have like intact edging, edge coat, maybe a little bit worn. This, I mean, again, I think somebody did use it. It's just, they didn't handle it much, and it does have a really great feel to it, but it's got problems. So I am going, when I do rehab this bag, I do hope to share some of that with you, because it's gonna mainly involve removing watermarks. I don't wanna dunk this bag, and I'm gonna show you how I fix things like the indents, severe indents here for this case. Like there's like these like puncture indents too. I mean, they're not punctures, but just whatever this bag was laying on. This really didn't do it any justice. But I'm gonna fix those things without like completely submerging it, though I will be getting this bag pretty wet in this case to remove, I know from experience, to remove these really deep indents. I'm going to need to, but yeah, it's not gonna be like necessarily a full dunk. And I'm also gonna take the steps separately, but anywho, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, removing the indents will be different than removing the watermarks. So, yeah, those are my tips. Again, I'll show you on camera, like what a bag maybe that does not have patina on it or much patina. I mean, this is pretty much unhandled. Very, very little wear this got, if any. Again, it doesn't mean, I think you can see, you know, the bag isn't perfect, but it's in really wonderful, wonderful condition. Compared to a bag that was handled quite a bit, and it has like a lot of skin oils, and it has that patina that we're talking about when we talk about patinaed vintage leather by Coach. So I hope that video was helpful. I don't know if it was, let me know. Maybe I can do something different if it wasn't another patinaed bag. See how shiny it is compared to this one. Again, there's a glow to it. It just doesn't shine. But yeah, let me know in comments if I could do something better to maybe explain what I'm feeling and seeing. But if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more Vintage Coach bag talks. I will say not everybody likes the feel of, if they're used to feeling patinaed leather, they don't necessarily like the feel of this leather. They think there's something off. I think it's wonderful. I adore getting these bags, and I do try to preserve that feel for the next owner. And I recommend that you do the same. Yeah, in this case, Apple conditioner was my choice. I did condition it, but when a bag has not been used much, it really doesn't need much. And so I go with a lighter conditioner in such situations. So, okay. But yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe to my channel for more Vintage Coach bag talks. Bye-bye.